Friends, it has begun. The CIA has been taken off the leash. The U.S. Air Force also taking off the leash. Venezuela is in some serious trouble because the United States military and the deep state are going after it right now. We're going to talk about bombers moving in. We're going to talk about what's happening with the CIA apparently getting permission to go after Maduro. And we're going to talk about kind of what's going on in the country. Why does this matter? And why is this such a big deal? We got a lot to talk about. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade. And these are the things you just won't hear on the mainstream media. We also do want to thank our sponsor, BlockTrust IRA. Cryptocurrency is revolutionizing the financial space. If you think about how people can send money from one person to the next without any government approval, without any banks getting involved. They're getting mad about this, that's for sure. Those of you who are already investing in cryptocurrencies are looking into new options. Well, they have an artificial intelligence option. Jonathan Rose and Animus AI have partnered up to take from the hedge funds this powerful technology and use it for your own portfolio. So, some of you guys are not into cryptocurrencies at all. Okay, if you want to, get into it, or if you already are into it, you might want to look into what Animus can do to protect your portfolio, whether it's in an IRA, 401k, or whether it's privately managed. Animus can help avoid the downsides. All right, if you'd like to find out more about their security processes or their super low transaction fees, there's a link at the end of the video, or look at the pinned comment down below. All right, so what's going on down in Venezuela and off the coast of Venezuela? Well, we had 3 B-52s flying down from the United States all the way down to right off the coast of Venezuela and patrolling back and forth. Now, like I said, that's not really, you're not protecting something with a B-52. That thing's loaded up with cruise missiles. You can basically flatten Caracas from where they're flying, right? B-52 stays outside your airspace and launches long-range missiles into your airspace. Or if the air defense systems have been suppressed, it can fly over and start dropping a bazillion bombs. That's a technical term of how many bombs can fit into a B-52. A bazillion. And if you're on the ground, if you've ever watched any of those videos from Vietnam, you know what I'm talking about. It's true devastation like has not been experienced except short of a nuclear weapon. Because each one of those projectiles is not that devastating, but when you put them all together, it's truly terrifying. All right, so 3 B-52s flying down there, patrolling off the airspace. We have a massive naval, marine, and Air Force buildup just off the coast. We've got a whole new naval base reactivated over in the, Puerto Rico, threatening Venezuela. We also have some video footage leaking of amphibious landing practices being done by the Marine Corps down there in the Caribbean. What are they planning on doing? I mean, if they're going to land somewhere, they don't have permission to land anywhere down there except for Puerto Rico, and I don't think they're planning on landing on Puerto Rico. So, are they going to do an overt landing, like they're going to take over a country? Or are they, too, going to be doing covert landings with special operations? That's concerning. They have a cargo ship that's been retrofitted to be a Special Forces command ship. It can send out Little Bird helicopters. It can do all sorts of stuff, but it's known for being one of the homes away from homes for teams like SEAL Team 6, for Delta, and other Tier 1 units, or at least Tier 2 units that they can then do stuff off of them, especially stuff that they want to be a little less conspicuous than when they're doing it off an aircraft carrier or one of the many landing crafts that happen to be right offshore of Venezuela. But the thing that's really raising eyebrows right now is that the New York Times has come out with a report that the Trump administration has secretly authorized the CIA to conduct covert actions, quote, including lethal operations. So, one, is this true? Or, I mean, the Trump administration and all the government agencies underneath of it would never leak information. Well, one, it's definitely possible that's true. Second thing is that the CIA has a tendency to be very leftist and very liberal. And because of that, they would absolutely leak anything that would be embarrassing to President Trump, anything that would cause blowback on him. So, does this smack of being true? Yeah, it does. It does sound true. And that is a big first step here. Now, the CIA, if you've watched your James Bond movies or whatever, I've never actually watched a whole James Bond movie. I've seen little clips here and there. But that's not what the CIA is. The CIA has its own military. They have a mercenary force where they basically hire ex-Tier 1 operatives and Tier 2 operatives from special operations. They hire Rangers, they hire Delta, they hire SEAL teams, and they have this mercenary force that is, by all means, a military. They basically have their equivalent of having Tier 1 teams over doing something. Without the transparency of the U.S. military, the CIA teams can operate wherever and do all sorts of stuff. And they're sort of troops. So when the CIA is given authorization to do this, no one's really sure, that's allowed to talk about it, about how all these things work in the background, but it's been speculated, I'm speculating a little bit, that Tier 1 teams can be loaned to the CIA. And other special operations teams can be loaned to them. I won't get into why I believe that is true, but if the CIA is allowed to do stuff, go after the cartels in Venezuela, which President Trump has basically said, we're blowing up their boats out of the ocean. Now, we just had a 5th speedboat, and I believe the 6th speedboat just blown up by missile. When asked why not just let the Coast Guard get the speedboat, President Trump admitted that they are fast, but they're not faster than missiles. Not really answering the question, but obviously he's going for deterrence. He wants to terrify those who are trying to smuggle things that harm thousands and if not millions of Americans. These are deadly things that are being brought to our shores. Maybe these people are doing it for a quick buck, but the problem is that people are perishing because of their actions, and that is not really okay at all. And so if they're always looking at the sky, wondering when something's going to come down and hit them, it makes a lot of people decide that maybe they want to take a career change right about now. So less people want to drive that boat, don't they? Well, President Trump is saying basically because we've been hitting the boats, they're going to have to come around on land, and we're going to have to start hitting them on the land. Okay, now that's a problem because when they're in the water, in international waters, I mean, who really can protest? Venezuela can kind of protest, but then they can't protest too loudly. Now, when you do an airstrike, or when you spend a special operations team in to do stuff on somebody's land, that becomes a whole different ballgame. whether it's Panama. Panama won't like that at all. Panama is playing ball with the United States like this much. They're allowing us to have a jungle operations training center there in return for us training them how to do jungle operations, which is kind of ironic when you think about it, right? It's like, don't the Panamanians know how to do warfare in jungles? I mean, they're from the jungle. Anyway, they don't want us operating in Panama. They want us to stay on our little bases and spend our money, give them lots of money to the government, and they want us to train their soldiers in the little jungle operations training centers there. They don't want us doing anything else. No interdiction, no surveillance, no nothing. Panama's not on board. Colombia is definitely not on board. Colombia is having a spat with the United States. The president of Colombia got kicked out of New York City. He came in for the UN and decided to go out to a protest for the Palestinians. Now, okay, we can kind of see that a little bit, okay, maybe he just went out there. Yeah, but in his speech, he basically advocated for American soldiers to rise up and overthrow the U.S. government, which where in the world did he come up with the idea that that might be okay to do? So he got his visa revoked and he got expelled from the United States, okay? He's gone. He's not coming back to the United States because you don't get to do that kind of stuff. Anyway, so Colombia and the United States are not seeing eye to eye on this, and that wasn't the first thing. That was just one thing in a long train of abuses and usurpations, if you know what I mean. Anyway, Colombia's not on board. Panama's not on board. Our list of friends goes short. Brazil is definitely not on board with the United States, right? President Trump and Brazil have been having a spat over Bolsonaro, the former president or prime minister or whatever, who has been prosecuted politically by the Supreme Court of that country. And they've just been smacking him down hard with all sorts of just stupidity. And President Trump has spoken out against it. Anyway, Brazil is a socialist utopia of, not going so well there either. But they're not nearly like Venezuela. Venezuela, was was the most prosperous country in South America, has the largest oil reserves of any country in the world, should look like Dubai, should look like the United Arab Emirates, should look like Saudi Arabia, but instead it looks like Ecuador. No offense to Ecuadorians. But it looks like a jungle outpost in Brazil. It's people are struggling to eat in Venezuela. That's not exactly what you'd expect from the most oil in the world country. Well, all this is happening. Millions of people have fled Venezuela because they're starving and they're being prosecuted and persecuted. It's bad, okay? So Maduro's there. The United States is like, we don't like this guy. You know who really doesn't like him? Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio has been like, let's overthrow Venezuela, Cuba, and was it Nicaragua as well? Let's overthrow those three countries. Let's just do it. And he was advocating this for 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. I mean, he's been open about this. He's been like, let's just overthrow these countries, make them U.S. friendly, and that will solve some of the people coming into the United States, and that will solve the problems in our hemisphere. Well, those involve wars. Well, if you've noticed where Marco Rubio happens to be right now, he happens to be the Secretary of State of the United States of America. And he has the ear of the president, and we are stacking up forces like an impending Risk battle, like in Risk, where you just start piling your troops down, and you're like, you could use your 10-unit troops, but no, you use the ones, just so you have this giant pile of them. Well, that's what President Trump is basically doing to Venezuela, and Venezuela is understandably concerned. 3 B-52s, come wandering down just outside your airspace and just start patrolling back and forth. And well, if you watch the flight pattern kind of things, some people said the flight patterns of them kind of look like an inappropriate thing to draw, okay? And it seems like they did that intentionally, possibly, and did that right off the coast so that everyone looking at the flight trackers would kind of see that the United States is basically mocking and trying to provoke the Venezuelan military. We got F-35s flying out of Puerto Rico. We got Harrier jump jets off of a number of the carriers. We got Ospreys up in the air. We got a lot of assets. We probably have submarines off the coast there too that we don't know about. All these forces are arrayed against Venezuela. And now we're being told that the CIA has been taken off the leash and given authorization to go end people in Venezuela. And does that sound as bad as it really is? Yeah, that sounds about accurate to what we're talking about. Special operation teams being inserted into Venezuela would be the nicest interpretation of that. Full-on regime change is absolutely sounding like it's on the table. We have quite a few Marines chomping at the bit on their ships just off the coast. And the United States can indeed fly down all sorts of heavy equipment to drop even heavier equipment all over the face of Venezuela. Their air defense systems really don't have much of a chance. It's not looking good for them. All right. Maduro, on their side of things, has tried a peace offer. He tried to offer U.S. companies, U.S. government, a major or dominant stake in future oil and gas projects. But President Trump said no. In fact, President Trump then turned around and informed Congress that the U.S. is in an armed conflict with the cartels, of which President Trump says Maduro is the chief of one of the cartels. So, if you're starting to read between the lines of exactly where this is headed, it seems like the United States is escalating this unilaterally. And in that type of situation, what can Venezuela do other than try to not provoke the United States? But when the United States is trying to provoke Venezuela, they're going to be trying to find an excuse. And with the CIA operating down there, an excuse will be found. All right, friends, when something happens down there, and I do say when, take it with a big grain of salt. But then again, we're all going to be upset about it. Everyone's going to be upset about it, and everyone's going to be chomping at the bit to go take out Maduro, because that's what a false flag is supposed to do. So that's what's going to happen probably, or things are going to start quietly exploding inside Venezuela. Opposition forces are going to be armed, and they're going to be looking at toppling the Maduro regime. So, something to look forward to, I guess. World War III in South America. Our prayers are out there with the people of Venezuela and with the U.S. soldiers who are about to go into harm's way, and the U.S. CIA soldiers that are about to go into harm's way, apparently. All right, friends. We'll keep an eye on this, and we'll let you know of any new developments. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. If you want to get some more information on what you can do with BlockTrust IRA and with Animus AI, you can click on the link right there or down in the pinned comment down below. Thanks so much for watching. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report out.